Okay, so I've still been painting and painting. I got to a certain point. I love this buttercup. I got to a certain point though. Now I need to wait. I've got new paints and canvases coming supposedly Friday. Um, I mean the weather, and I mean anything can happen. Like hopefully it will get here before anything goes down. Cause I'm totally be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to just start pulling out things and painting on them. You start getting into that kind of mode, and it's like it's hard to shut it down or something. And I've been drawing and drawing and drawing too. While I'm waiting for my paint to dry and stuff, and I'll keep drawing the same face over and over and over and over. And it's like I know every line on this face. I don't have to look at it. I just know this face, and then and it's weird too, because I was thinking, I wonder if somebody could feel you. Like if you're drawing somebody, if they could feel you. You know, like back in the folklore kind of thing where they say somebody's thinking about you, like your itchy palm, someone's thinking about you or whatever. And I think because of telepathy and stuff, I think so much is this energetic connection that people just disregard. I'm like whatever has been happening to me is another level. That's for sure. It is definitely expanding, and I'm assuming probably with some of you guys who have been along this ride with me through this awakening kind of journey. And one thing is too is I saw a video of this girl, and she was just like so frustrated because she couldn't wake anybody up. Because that's the thing, as soon as somebody wakes up, they're just like, oh my God, and you want to wake everybody else up. And then you see you can't wake anybody up. You become very frustrated and stuff. But so there's a lot of that going on. But what I really got from that was like, oh my gosh, we got only like halfway there with the that whole thing. It's so much like it is it's like a hamster. The awakening is like this. It's not just a hamster wheel, because we've been on a hamster wheel, but it's like going into the habitat and going into the tunnels and seeing what's in the tunnels, and taking a risk and going outside of what we've been doing, and go out there and not know, where's it going to go? Where am I going? And still taking a chance to see where it leads. And so it's like that in the beginning, if you woke up a long while ago like me, it was very isolated. It was very empty. It was kind of like dark forest, and you were kind of out there on your own. And anytime you'd be trying to ask people, it was like people along your path, like on the Wizard of Oz or something. And there was a lot of like, you're asking people things outside of you, everything is inside of you, but you're asking things and everything seems stupid and peculiar and shallow, and it doesn't make any sense. And so, just like all these things where I was saying, I talking to people like, what are these lights flashing? And, about it, one of the big things I think in the beginning for me was when I felt my whole body start to vibrate. And I was just like, I was freaked out. It was like a few hours too. And I think I had been doing some kind of yoga and really connection. And you know what I want to say about that, because, meditation, that's like an intention of like a process or something to me. And to me, what I'm doing is more like communion. It's more just like a communication. It's more like, calling somebody or texting somebody, only instead of doing it that way, I'm just talking to them in my head. And there's humans that I have talked to in my head and talked to their spirit. And the thing is that people don't realize, like, even if they are not conscious of the communication, that their soul is conscious of it. And so their soul will respond to that information or whatever. Like, just in the same way we have ancestors and stuff talking to us here, and some people don't hear them. Like, I can hear them. Like, the there's so many interesting things that I get told all the time. And is for people to just connect with that part of them. And I don't know if that's something that I'm here to teach. I think there's a lot of things, like the stuff that keeps coming to me for my information. Like, I am not finding, I mean, I've seen footage of storms in California. I've seen some footage of different, like, storms. There's lots of, it seems like there's more and more train derailments. Like, I'm not even sure. There's like so much going on. Like, but it was always going to build to that intensity. And there's going to be that, you know, that grand finale moment. I saw something else where somebody was talking about something. I don't remember if it was an astrology thing. It seemed like it was the black sun thing, but it wasn't about that. But it was some kind of a, I think we were talking about, because the moon is shifting, like everybody keeps freaking out now because the moon, the crescent isn't on the side anymore, it's underneath. And so everybody is like, what the hell's going on? So that's got a lot of people's attention. And so somebody talking about that or something, and I don't remember if it was an astrology person or what it was, but they said something about it flipping, like how this flipping, and how the light to dark, and how I kept saying, like, how they kept showing me or something about those lights coming on, like the lights all of a sudden, the flipping, and that's why the black sun was making sense to me. But in this one, it was suddenly like that we would go into something about the lights changing, and that would be when everything was going to flip the other direction. And I just thought that's interesting, because that is the same way as I keep seeing it, is this abrupt kind of, like the lights come on and all of a sudden everybody's just like, what? And I don't know how it's going to happen. Like, I mean, all this stuff has been playing out differently. Well, I don't know how much stuff I even have expectation over. I don't know. It's not something I can remember. Somebody could go and tell me. They'd probably have to pull up the video and say, see what you said right here? But that's what I said a long time ago. Everything is like what you know, to your understanding at that moment. You're constantly in motion. It's like you can't be further down the river and pretend like you're still way down here. It's like now you're way down there. So you've learned all about this part of the jaunt, of the expedition. You've learned all of that already. You can't pretend like you haven't. So you now know things to a new level. So, you know, you got to always be free flowing with your understanding, and, you know, you're opening your mind. And now I'm seeing so many more people calling people out on, like, open your mind. As they've all been so closed-minded for so long. It's just funny when people start opening their mind, and how much you want other people to just see. If you could just see what I see. And it is, but you can't rush it. Everybody has their own design of how this was supposed to occur in their life. And it's, you know, they have their own way of it impacting, fellowships into their life, their soul journey, their soul kind of purpose, so that it's their own unique designed lesson plan, like the things that they are learning from how they awaken. It is parts are like, you know, fixing karma stuff with people, like all sorts of things. Like it's way more intricate than people understand. Like, people just look on this cartoon level. It's like people are looking at life as this cartoon when it's like a fucking Matisse or something. It's like, you gotta look deeper, you know? You can't be so, you know, there's a man up in the heaven, you know, shooting lightning bolts at you, you know, doesn't give a shit about you, although he created you, but you're a dime a dozen, you know. It doesn't care about his creation, doesn't care about, it makes no sense of, and then there's the guy down underneath who's waiting to burn you up. And you know what I was thinking is that, you know, all these elites and stuff like that who have been too scared to go, like, are they just so happy with how things have gone in their lives, that they just love that life so much they don't want to let go of it? Are they scared that they will never have another one? Like, I don't know what the draw is, why they want to stay so attached to this. But anyways, I was thinking that would totally be like fucking, it could seem like eons of burning in hell, of going into a life review. Like, you think about Hillary going into a life review, and then having to process how you affected all those different people to have to feel how, that's a lot of fucking people. That's a lot of people you've hurt. So going through that process, like, fuck, man, especially if you've been doing hundreds of years, like, or however the hell long these people have been around here. I think I was watching, I started Carnival Row yesterday, but I only got through the, because she hadn't seen season 2 had come out, and so I was like, well, you know, she was always wanting to watch something. So I was like, well, we could watch that. We could start it over if you want to watch it. But then she fell asleep immediately, so I only watched one of them. But I was thinking, I gotta think what I was thinking. It's funny, though, how some of that stuff, I mean, there is so much about timing, and, you know, and what that show kind of shows and stuff. It's like, I mean, it's just the overtaking of life or something. I don't know. But it's like that everything is just so out of balance with them. But let me think what I was going to say, because they try and stay, it's like they don't ever want to die so that they can just stay alive. Oh, because it was talking about centuries. And so it said, oh, well, you know, this is the 700th century. You know, talking like people nowadays, oh, it's 21st century. So it's, you know, I don't know. It just seemed ridiculous to me. But anyways, the thing about it, when she said it, it was like right there. Why did they ever fucking do anything on centuries? They should have never. The whole thing with the manipulation of time, it is all of the things. That's how they've been able to lie about history. This whole concept of these centuries, they should be, if they were being honest, they would have been telling us about the ages that have been here, and what has happened during the ages, and the fighting and the battling that has happened during the ages of this continued battle between the dark power who wants to control others, and the more lighter energy that just wants to live and be free, you know. And there's always been this other energy that is always wanting to take it over. But that is kind of like the balance of kind of like fine-tuning, finding the balance for souls, is like these different ages to come in and play out these different things, because it expands all of the knowing, the understanding. And you know what trips me out too is how these things are even developed. Like, I don't know, like, things are so much more sophisticated and intricate than people realize. Just like I said, you know, people sit here thinking like this is a fucking cartoon, and it's like so elaborate and intricate and so fucking designed, and it's so fucking beautiful. I don't understand. I don't even remember if I finished talking about my picture, because this one is the buttercup, and I'm so in love with this picture now. It's so crazy, and I don't know if it's this extended, I'm not even going to call it a dry period, because it's by choice. You know, when you choose to love you, then, you know, you go through this period. But anyways, there's certain things, like doing these things, it's like reading a dirty story or something. It's like I didn't never know that nature was so erotic. It's very sensual. And so anyways, I'm really loving this one, and I'm loving how even all of the things coming out of the flower kind of reminds me of like all the sperm, when you see all the sperm going around the ovum, or and going into well, they show the little travels, if you've ever seen those things going, you know, and they're all racing to get up there. And that's what it reminds me of, like this, the female, you know, the birthing, and then you have all of the excited energy that just wants to live. And anyways, I just was like, God, that's really cool. But doing this stuff, but I still got to wait for my other paints to get here. It's not done. It's got to get some more gold and yellow and stuff in it. But I'm really liking the deep colors because it goes with the thing. Because now I've got a whole thing going. Now I'm going to do this whole series of this, I don't know, nature giving birth. Like, it's like this rebirth of humanity and our connection to nature. And I can't wait to do the ones that are more like this phallic one. I can't get them off my mind. I have a couple of them. I can't wait to do them. And when those canvases get here this weekend, I'm going to be in a frenzy. So I haven't even been on TikTok very much. And even when I tried to go on it, each time it's like electrocuting my hands. And these shoot shock waves up my hands. And I'll try and set it on my legs. And it'll start shooting down my legs. I'll set it over on a pillow. And I'll start like touching it. And I'll start feeling like my fingertips are on fire. It's like once that... And I don't know, you know, this is another thing. Like my eyes have been a barometer. Once they damaged my eyes became a barometer for me to be able to read, like, oh, there's a lot of chemicals here right now because they burn my eyes like a motherfucker. And so it's kind of like the, which thing is it now? Because it was kind of like the same thing, whatever I was talking about. It became, when something isn't working or something, then you can start, you start paying attention or reading it differently or something. And, man, what in the hell? I've been up for a really long time. I went to bed, I think I went to bed, like, I laid down on the couch at 7 or 7:30, I think. I can fall asleep in 1 second. And then, sometimes I don't want to fall asleep so fast. It's like, I want to lay here and just think. I want to lay here and fantasize. But I'm out in 2 seconds. But then she kept snoring. But then it was like around 1. I just was laying there. I was just uncomfortable on my shoulder. It keeps hurting. And so I was like, fuck, I'm just going to get up. I just feel too awake. And I did feel like I was sitting there and like there seemed like it was like open lines. All of a sudden there was a lot of communication, and that is harder to sleep to me when it's like, it feels like my mind is, like the lights came on and they're in there just chattering away. And then I'll find where I'm sitting there talking to somebody I won't even realize. And I think that, I don't know. It seems like I'm, you know, it seems like I'm supposed to help people understand that part, because there is like a lot of the videos I keep getting when I go on there is like the universe speaking directly to me. Like they're saying things to me, like in the music and stuff. Like there's a lot of communication that is going on. And even to the point where I was like, okay, you know, because I hadn't been watching any tarot, because you get too caught up when they'll be like, oh, this is about to happen. And you'll be like, okay, it's about to happen. And then it doesn't. And then you'll be so disappointed. But then mine are always saying, did we tell you that? In here. Because you got to remember, this is your... And we don't get caught up in time. Don't get caught up. Like, you got to really realize, this is what they've told me about. Divine timing, faith, like all of those things that open up. But they give it so much opportunity for them to explain things to me and stuff for me to see. And so much of things are, like, it can be something, like this keeps happening too. Because I think it happened twice yesterday, where I was doing something or it was totally unexpected. And then all of a sudden they showed me something from like a long while ago. And it could have been something I didn't understand or I had clarity about or something, but they used it to make clarity about that, or to use me to show how that had to do with that or something. It's so crazy how they'll just pull something way out from, and it's like not flash, it's like index cards. It's like they have these index cards or something. They just whack them out like, remember this? It's like, oh, yeah. whoa, fuck, that makes so much sense. And was I still talking about the Hillary thing? Well, anyways, any of those people now, I was like, that would kind of give you this concept of just being in hell. If you had to go through some really extended life review where you had to go through, if you had hurt millions of people and you had to go through and feel how you affected them, because that's what I had heard before about the Hitler thing, you know, because then that was some on Dolores Cannon stuff, I think, where it was because I don't remember what it was, but people thought, well, he would have such bad karma, like it was he would be so in so much trouble, you know, if anybody's going to hell, it'd be him. And the whatever this conversation was, that they were like, no, his dad, because his dad repressed him so much and didn't allow him to he was an artist. In a past life before that one, he was an artist who was, you know, working. And in this one, he was repressed. He was controlled. And so then it started coming out in other ways or something, but it was the dad who was repressing him from himself. That, this is what the people don't understand. So I try and get to say is that your karmic debt is set by your intentions. That, like, even with these people, like, I'm curious about like how this is going to go down when they start these trials. Like, just like that pharmacist lady, you know, did she really know that she was hurting people and she continued? Because that will be the barometer over your intention. And if we're going quantum, and I think it's going to be something, we'll be able to read something about that or something. I'm not sure. But I bet you it's going to be something far more sophisticated than what we can comprehend at this point. You know, once they can start unraveling and they start showing us the technology that, you know, so many have given their lives up for, there's so many people now that are realizing that America is the bad guy. And it really does kind of hit hard, you know, for how many invasions we've done to places and destroyed other communities and other people's lives, stealing from them and stuff. But our government was lying to us the whole time. Our government is, you know, and those are the dark people. And those people are the ones who, they had to get the most money, the biggest place, to have the most power. And so, you know, they just had to lie to us so that they could continue their domination over this fucking world, fighting each other like a fucking bunch of gangsters. And, I mean, it's like the trickle down of espionage of these fucking gangsters. I swear to God, it's all throughout our society. And it is totally that they create criminals. And it's all part of what they want, the darkness. And that is the challenge when you come into this time of the game, is remembering who you are in the midst of all the dark. Do you start to fall into the dark? Or do you go the other direction and say, you know, I know who I am? And I think that is the big challenge. And I think so many people have struggled with that. And that probably has to do with so many why they need a savior. Because they need to feel like somebody forgives them, because they don't know how to forgive themselves. And that's probably going to be a big impact of what is going to happen with a lot of the people when religion deconstructs in their awakening, is that that is going to promote them to force their healing, because it is what they have held back of themselves, that they can't forgive themselves, but they feel ultimately that there's a savior out there who forgives them, so that they can just not think about it. Because that definitely seems to be that the Christian people who claim that title, who are the bully group of them, you know, like, you have to believe what I believe, you know, it's like they got a lot riding on this, like, there is a Jesus and you will claim his name. Okay, you got a gun to your head. I'll do it. Just stop. Jesus, please come save me. No, but I would be like, Jesus, just come on, let's just have a cup of tea. Let's just talk about it, man. These people, for they know not what they do, you know. And it's so true. And a lot of people are recognizing that too. And that is a big one that we have to always let go. Is like, if people knew, if people could do better, they would do better. And that is part of the hard part, is when you start to do better, that can hold you back, is that feeling of, why couldn't I do better before? I'm about to start crying over it, because it's so much a part. There's so much that hold people back, man. So much. And it's just, it's sad. It's the pain and stuff that people carry around. But yeah, all these people who need this Savior, like they've got all right on this. You know, they need Jesus to come. And that seems to be their primary thing always, is this Savior. The Savior's coming. He's forgiven our sins and all of that stuff. It's like, dude, you need to forgive yourself. I literally had somebody tell me yesterday, you cannot heal yourself. Stop saying such fucking nonsense. What? I fucking did it, dude. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense. I'm talking about something that I lived. I'm talking about a path I walked. I'm talking about going into a crisis and pulling myself out. You know, it's like, what the hell? That is how low people feel about themselves. Like, they're dependent. They're dependent on a system. They're dependent on a Lord and Savior to come down and forgive them. And it's so crazy, because your higher self is your next step up. It's your next step forward. You know, just as the Kelly who didn't leave the hospital, she just handed, God, I've been super emotional. God, she handed me the baton. Fuck. Everything she went through wasn't in vain, you know. It was my responsibility at that point to go further, to go forward, you know, to be strong enough to keep going. To, you know, if God was keeping me alive, if I was alive, I was supposed to be doing something. And I knew that in my core. Even when I wanted to be dead, and I begged, please take me, please, please. I can't endure another minute of this. And I really was not thinking that's what I was going to talk about. Fuck. I really wasn't. You know, I just know now, when I can look back, I know I was never alone. You know, I know the communication that started when I was a little kid, that they were always there. When I look back at all these times, that's why when my mom said that to me that day, it was just an acknowledgement for me to be able to say it, because I had already acknowledged it to myself. But when she had said that she was talking to her angels or whatever, and that she asked them, why did you let Kelly go through that? Why would you let her be alone like that? And they said she was never alone. And then it was right like around that same time where I also saw another thing that somebody was talking about, and it was some angel thing, and the people who have been abused and stuff like that, that they said that that they're never alone. It was a whole thing about that. So I'd seen all those things, you know, and already acknowledged that and stuff. But then you start looking back at different things. Like I said, like you look back and you can see, like, oh, there were signs, there was things, it was always going. You know, like if I would have been paying better attention, you know, things would have gone differently. But they had to go that way, because that's the way they were always going to go, because that's what was going to happen to get me to where I am at this point. But you know, there was a lot of times where it was so hard to keep going in everything. I mean, it was just one thing after. There was so much that I had to purge out. So much, like with the medications and all of that stuff. It was just a lot that I had to relieve myself from and heal. you know, like there's so many people who are dependent on medication that can't even imagine. Well, I'm here to tell you, I had left 18 of them, and I did it, and I got healthier. And I think if you look back on pictures, that I think I look healthier. I think I look more sickly being on all the medications that they told me I needed. And so, you know, doing all of that. But I had to keep myself going. And that was definitely in my spiritual connection, because I did have a strong spiritual connection. It just had grown stagnant. It just had grown like, you know, it's like I read that book and put it on the shelf. And so it wasn't like a daily practice. My daily practice was work and getting money, and where was I going to spend that money? And making plans and doing trips and going shopping and, you know, spending time in drama. It was just, you know, stupid shit all the fucking time. And I wasn't, you know, focused on me. And if I did focus on me, it was always like, you know, seeing myself through someone else's eyes. All of a sudden today, I got this thing of like, this imagery that's on this binaural tunes or whatever. Is these two faces looking at each other. You know, all of a sudden it came to me of like, you know, it's a huge thing when you can stop seeing yourself through someone else's eyes. And that is through most of my life. I only saw myself through someone else's eyes up until the time where I went into quarantine. And then it was me, Stella, and my guides, you know, were in this, and, you know, I was shown and told a lot, and they've used it through media and stuff, obviously, as well. That's why I said, like, on TikTok right now, I'm getting flooded with these certain ones. And then I did go on, I was like, okay, so I'll go on and I'll listen on a tarot on the thing. And it was, you know, it was the same message. I always do a pick a card one. And so that even the ones that will show up to you, you know, it's like throwing the dice, you know, because you couldn't possibly have every single tarot thing show up. So to me, it's always like, you know, bring me the message you want me to see. And then they did, and it was a lot of confirmation, but they said a lot of other things too. But in all of these messages, like I keep getting all these personal messages and stuff towards me, not just stuff about the world. And that just them making it so clear to me about the numbers, you know, like, 'cause I was watching the numbers so much for so long and asking them, you know, when's this going to happen? Like, what's going on? Y'all told me to do this, like, you know, and then they've told me, you know, and I get, you know, what they're saying. The learners weren't ready, but they're about to come in on a big fucking ton of them. And there's about to be a ton of people out there searching, trying to understand, you know, what's happening to them. And, you know, when I was thinking, when they started really making me notice about the numbers, and then I was like, oh, and some of the stuff that they've told me and shown me, it was like, oh, this is so fascinating now to see how this is going to play out. Because the numbers, like, that's why I start being like, y'all are all, you know, if y'all have been listening to me and stuff throughout this thing, then y'all are already on this healing journey. Y'all are already about to all level up. There's about to be this huge shift that is going to impact the people who have been working on themselves and leveling up. And then that is going to show the next group, you know, like, it's like the way showers the path, but there's way less of us. There's way less of us of this beginning group of people. There's going to be in like this first wave, and it's going to be, I think it's going to seem really, you know, magical to a lot of people. Like, what? Especially for mine. Because there's a lot of people, you know, I've told people for years, and I've been told, like, okay, okay, Grandma, like, all that stuff, like, so, you know, it's going to be, if things play out the way my guides say, you know, it's going to be very shocking. And I'm sure everybody has got things. You know, everybody's got something that they've been healing, and they're connected with their guides, and they're on their path. Then there's something in the works. There's something on the move. There's something that's about to shake loose. And so, you know, and the thing is for all of us too, is to always be in that mindfulness of that you are a role model. For instance, like there's people who are looking towards you of like, you know, how did you do that? Like, how did you come from this to that? And so and this to me, this is what they showed me what yesterday on when I was saying like there's all different levels. So in this leveling up, the part of the game for those of us who are doing that is going to be a lot of still that ego thing. This is going to be another level of ego for you to overcome, because this is those kinds of things will get you really in ego, where people are looking up to you, like thinking like you did something special. You got to remember, you're a role model, you're a way shower, you're a teacher. You're here to, but it's not just read a book and do it. No, you're gonna actually do it. You're gonna, you know, heal yourself, work on yourself, and challenge yourself, love yourself, like all of the things, whatever each person is there to do. There's going to be this big jump where everyone who is in your orbit is going to see, they're going to notice. And I don't know how far each person's thing will extend, but you know, it's obviously is a grid. It's a grid of light that is going to encompass the planet all at once. It's like when the lights shift, if you think about it, is the energy. So then it will be this this grid system all of a sudden of all of us who have been doing it, that it was just like all of a sudden it'll just come on. And it is going to be a beautiful thing, because it's going to give people so much hope. This can be all teary again. Oh, man. This is crazy how emotional I have been. Like, fuck. I swear to God, all day long, I can look at Stella and just be like, I just love you so much, and just start bawling. Everything. I can just look around my house and be like, God, I'm just the luckiest person in the whole world. Nobody's luckier than me. God, how can I have so much luck, you know? And I can just, I'll start crying. Like, it's so funny of when you really get into that, just being in love with life and being in love with everything around you, and just love is just such a happy emotional feeling too. But there's you know, there's a lot of trauma and a lot of stuff going on. I saw a woman doing footage of she was in the house with her kids. She kicked her husband out for abuse. So she said, this is what happens when you stand up to your person, I can't remember what she called him, your DV person. And 4:30. It was a loud sound. And he was at the front door, and I don't know what he was doing to bash it that hard. Like, if you were doing that with your shoulder would fucking, I would think you'd dislocate your shoulder. Like, are you on PCP or something? Like, what the hell? He's slamming into the door so hard that he's knocking the stuff off around the door in the inside. I swear to God, a hinge went and flew across the room. And then by the time he knocked the door in, this is the front door, and she's getting all this on video, and the police had already come. Then when he knocked the door in, he turns, and then a neighbor's there on one side. I couldn't understand, but their neighbor was there. When he saw the neighbor, then he took off running. And but the thing that got me was like the violence that is going to be going on with these people who are so disconnected from their soul. Just like what I'm saying about the people who are, they don't want to face themselves. They just, Lord Jesus, please just, take away my sin. I feel shame. I can't face myself. I should have never done this. I should have never done that, The whole thing is even if Jesus sits there and forgives you, even if your neighbor forgives you, even if your uncle forgives you or your sister forgives you, you have to forgive you. That's the challenge. It doesn't matter. I've tried to say so many times, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. And you got to quit seeing yourself through other people's eyes. Is you have to forgive you. And that is your biggest challenge. It's like you can't run around and do, well, you do. That's what it is. You start, loving yourself. Start loving yourself like what you would do if you wanted to make up to somebody, Start loving yourself. That's what's missing. That's why you have done shitty things. It's because you've been missing love. You've been missing out on connection. You've been missing out on the truth, you know? And the truth's going to hurt for a lot of people who've played a dark part in this, you know, this game. And, but the whole thing is you still have to find that forgiveness for yourself and realize it's a game. Yeah, I did some stupid shit in that game, but, you know, I could do better. You know, it's always the drive. It's always the drive to come back. And, you know, people think like, oh, I hate life. I hate reincarnation. That's so stupid. That's what got so many people up on my ass the other day about that reincarnation thing. I just couldn't believe it. Like, Jesus Christ, it's 21st century. Like, and you were sitting there saying reincarnation's not real? Like, give me a fucking break. If you read a book, like, god damn, read some fucking, get out of the fiction. Like, go and read some spiritual stuff. Like, it's metaphysical. Like, open your goddamn mind. I swear to God. I don't know how people stay so stuck in such a limiting way of seeing life. Like, why can't you just connect to life? She's very stiff. So eating that fucking snow shit, man. So, anyways, there was other things I wanted to talk about, but I think though that the thing is because about the numbers thing with all of you guys, it being so small and being like they were really making a thing about that. Like it is, like we are a small group right now, and that, but that's gonna change. Like, and I'm not saying like anybody has to stay here and, you know, be a part of, if there starts being tons of people coming in the comments and stuff, I'm not saying you have to go in. I'd said whatever a while back when I thought it was going to happen a long time ago is, you know, for people to be kind to one another. And remember that these are your new challenges, not talking down to people, not being too an ego and thinking you're better than other people, really realizing that it's the movement. It's like we're trying to break this movement free to go in this a certain direction and pulling it with us and getting everybody to pull towards love. And it, man, it's like pulling some fucking teeth, man. It's like pulling dark. Like, so any toxic behavior that any of the way showers, any of the people that are holding the light, any toxic behavior, that's just going to put people off of that direction. And so it's like to me, those of us who are, that we need to really, you know, keep our eyes forward. Don't listen to what the gossip or what, you know, people are saying. And people can go in comments. There's going to probably be weird conversations. There's going to be probably people who will, you know, say some rude shit. Just ignore it. If I see rude shit, I just delete it or whatever, because it's like nobody needs your toxic ass around them. Like, you know, if you're still acting like that, like, you should have learned to not be a bully and not be toxic. You should have learned, you know, because there's literally people who are going out and looking for content that they don't agree with just to argue with people, just to ridicule people, just to put people down, you know. And I saw that was like fucking 2 years ago. And so you still have like all these people who are doing that, but because this energy is like pulling apart, it's becoming so much more intense. It's like the people doing the more toxic behavior are so toxic themselves, you know. Like, I think when the energy turns, some of them is gonna, like, it's gonna feel like getting hit by a car or something, this energy. And I think that is what some of this with the solar flashes have been, is like a preparation for the energy, because I don't get affected like where I see some of these people saying some of this stuff. You know, I think it all depends on your vibration. And to me, the reason I'm not is because I've just been keeping up with it as it's been going, and I've been healing and going with the flow of the planet. And so when the energy comes in, I'm not stagnant, so it doesn't hurt. But that doesn't mean that some energy won't come in and it won't hurt. I mean, any big old blast can come in, and you don't know something's laying in you, waiting to heal until it comes to the surface. So you know. But I do know, like, the more you heal, the more easier it gets. That's for sure. And the more you stay in communication with your guides and pay attention to the signs and pay attention to the communication, the more the things, it doesn't hurt. Like, you know, I find more pain in watching others struggle, you know, than my own. I don't feel like I have things that I feel like painful or sad about. Like, I feel like happy and content, and I feel like lucky. I feel like all of those things. And because I'm putting all those energies out, that's the energy that's going to come back. And I don't know at what extent. I mean, I know what they've been telling me, and it sounds like it's going to be, you know, pretty fantastic. So, you know, I'm excited to see what is coming. But, you know, if I was talking to thousands of people at this point, I wouldn't be saying some of the stuff I'm saying. But when I'm talking to like 10, 15, 20 people, you know, especially the ones who started this all the way back and have been throughout, like, that's very few. And so I definitely would say to you guys, like, I don't think that anybody would be sitting there listening to me and not doing the work. You know, they would just turn me off. I wouldn't make any sense. And so I would think any of you guys be expecting like things are going to just be turning in a really beautiful way, but don't get caught up in the ego part of it. You know, just keep on remembering you are human, even though you're going to feel like a superhero maybe. But remember, you are human, and you're here to play a part. And the part isn't to be worshipped. We don't want any of that. We're breaking free from that. People need to go and start worshiping themselves. So we're really just showing what can be done, what you can do when you love yourself, what you can do when you focus on the timeline that puts you in your best position, in your best experience where you came, not to learn the lessons to love yourself. And then plus, with the ages thing, you know, like the lessons for the new age is going to be different than the lessons that we are leaving behind. This is like your last ditch effort to get all you can from this is what's going on. And this dramatic clash, this crashing, it is like this crashing of the titans of, you know, the gods that have been in control of us, the overlords that have been playing volleyball above our heads this whole fucking time. And so they are going now, they are fighting amongst themselves or something, because they're defeated, they're dying. This is the end of them. And it is the phoenix that's coming out of the ashes. It's all of us who have healed. And then that is what's going to show the people who are in the dumps when all this goes down, like, oh, you know, this is what they were going through here a couple of years ago. And look at, they got through it. Look what they've done. Look what they've accomplished. And it's like we're pulling all these people forward with us. So I think that is really going to be exciting. And there's a lot of things, like I just saw guys saying, there's a lot of people with a lot of gifts that are, you know, and I've seen some, like with the kinetic stuff. I think there's a lot. Like, I know for me that mine have just been going crazy. And so it is, that's going to be another thing. Like, there's going to be people who are teaching different things. And some of the things, like, I don't know if it's going to be, if we have a lot of gifts in one area, if we're going to be able to learn a lot easier on some or something. Like, I don't know. Like, this is going to be really exciting to see. But I think that this is going to be like a real shift in power on a level that people like don't understand, because it's going to be like how we're going to see the micro part of it, you know, how we're going to experience the micro part of it for those of us who have been doing the work. So but the stuff that to come in for, I don't know, it seems like, you know, some of the stuff that I talk about, like, I don't know. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see how it affects people as they're awakening, you know, to hear about talking about you know, going through this awakening, and then it's like they're hearing about something that they weren't seeing, but it was happening around them. To go in and experience that, I would think it would be kind of like trippy to hear someone talking about reality that you couldn't see, but you were there participating in. And so, I don't know, this is going to be very interesting when things flip and people start going and, you know, search to try and find, and when censorship is lifted, which today the big threat is TikTok is supposedly being taken down. Joe's had enough of this TikTok stuff. And, you know, Joe's really, you know, he's really shooting off lately. And that to me is like the big thing. Get everybody's attention. Like, did you hear what Joe said last night? Did you hear he's popping off again? You know, to get everybody's attention, because it's going to be the big maneuver, some big changeover, the big change in power. And I don't know what's going to be that's contaminated. There's so many shit. Like, the guy is so corrupt. So many things can take this motherfucker down. And then, oh, now Woody Harrelson has come out. Like, I guess he was on SNL Saturday. And I don't know. I guess he said some stuff that some people don't like or something. But he is speaking the truth. See, they don't want, but this is the time now, finally, where I think that most of the people who are going to say anything, that they can say it safely, you know, and somebody's not going to be murdered over it. Like, I think it is, this is the release, and even to the point where it makes you wonder, because he has been releasing certain information for a while, so it makes you wonder, like, was he approached a while back by a certain group? Like, I think there was certain celebrities that were approached in that thing. Like, the NSA went in and found some to help with the takedown. I mean, there had to be some that were Hollywood. I mean, these people who think like every single business, every single institute had to have some insiders, some whistleblowers, somebody in there that was willing to speak up and, you know, be a part of the takedown. And so, you know, now we got Woody, and Roseanne's out on tour, you know, and she was so shamed there for a while. And, you know, I mean, what they do to destroy people's reputation is just, it's really cruel. You know, they've just been so cruel to so many people. And that's the energy that they've been putting out. And that's the energy, yeah. It's going to be scary to have to face all of this negative energy that you caused pain and heartache. And pain and heartache, when you're destroying people's reputation, doesn't just affect them. It affects a lot of other people. And so, anyways, but I think that we're going to see, you know, start seeing more and more of the ones speaking out, and, you know, we're going to see it all begin to crumble. And you know, the ones that are coming out of the rubble, because I'm sure there's some that, you know, didn't participate, but they are, you know, scared. You know, they're going to have to be dug out of the rubble because they know how seedy and creepy. Like, they're around people who are literally monsters. Some of them are fucking shapeshifters, like literally monsters, what most of us think of as monsters. But anyways, we keep feeling I just keep talking. But anyways, I think that we are at this time. We're at this big time of the shift. And so, what was it? It was another thing. Like, I just keep seeing, if maybe it's all astrology things or something that keep popping up. There definitely keeps being this message over and over and over. Another one may have been something in the government or something. There's so many things going on. But this week was going to be, and next week, be expecting, like, these 2 weeks, we should see everything change in the next couple of weeks. Like, that flip around should be happening. And I don't know, it seems like, you know, we've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it for a fucking long time. So I don't know, it's just so exciting if it really is finally here. God damn. So anyways, guess I'm just gonna have to sit and draw now. I've run out of things to paint on, and I'm now waiting for my paints to get here. So I'm just gonna sit and draw some more. And I was thinking, when I had got all this stuff, I thought, well, when power goes out and there's nothing to do, But it really has helped me to stay focused, because there is so much repetition right now on social media of, people freaking out over the chemicals and waking up and, now what are we going to do? So this huge thing, but it's just so repetitive. When these things happen, it's just become so repetitive. It's the same, people saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, but they all have to process it. It's like they have to go through it. It's like you can't go in, and remember this too. You got to remember this is to stay out of your ego. But you cannot rescue or heal everybody. You cannot fix things for anybody. You can allow. I mean, it really is just a role modeling. Walking the path and showing, just showing the love for yourself, showing when you're in a conversation, not to be reactive, to be mindful, to take time to yourself, to connect to all that is. That is, one of the big things is, so many people are connected to the artificial. And when you switch and you connect to the natural, it feeds your soul. The artificial doesn't feed your soul. The natural feeds your soul. Yesterday, when this squirrel, I've got so many squirrels and birds up in my yard. And this one especially comes right up to the yard. He's always he's really trying to communicate with me. I really like the nuts. Give me some more nuts. Someone's throwing nuts, and he'll come right up. Like I'd hand him a nut, and he'd take it right out. It's the cutest thing. Oh my gosh. And how many videos I have seen of people finding little animals to rescue. This cutest little dog this woman found. Now she's doing her whole TikTok page over this little dog she found with her little girl. And she said she was so sad and she was having such a hard time. And they were at the dump or something. I don't know. It was a bunch of garbage dumped. And she saw something, and so she started walking over, and she saw it was a little dog, so she rescued it, her and her daughter. It is the cutest it is some kind of mutation. I don't know what the hell this dog is. It literally looks like, what was that movie, The Goonie, it looks like some sort of Ewok or something. It looks like some sort of creature. It is the cutest thing, and the way it jumps around and moves, and it doesn't seem to be getting bigger. And she had a couple of big dogs. And this thing is so lively and so playful. And it is so unusual and cute. Oh my God, it is so cute. But I saw that, and I something in my mouth. There's, I keep seeing other ones too, of like people finding all sorts of things. A cat follow them home. A dog show up at their back door and won't leave, and all that. It's like these animal souls, these spirit souls, our animal spirits are finding these people and bringing something to them right when they need it. And a lot of them are like, we're in a grumpy mood or something, and all of a sudden this animal came in to bring them love and blessings. That is so cool. It was just, the coolest videos. It's sad when you see these people, who have dumped these animals and stuff, but the people who are finding them and finding purpose and love and joy and, in places they aren't expecting it, it's really, really cool. I really like that part of the awakening. I'm not as so much appreciative of all of the trauma part of it, but I mean, we had to have the people who came in and played those parts so that it would impact us, because if it was all puppy dogs and kittens, we not much would change. We just slip right back into the same patterns. So it's going to be impactful. It's going to hurt. And but just remember, you can't save everybody. You can't rescue anybody. So don't get that part of your ego in that you have to save everybody. It is when you get really into that spiritual soul connection to yourself, you really see, like, they're a soul. They'll work it out. They'll figure it out. We don't have to do or say anything. And don't forget, it's the energy you're putting out affects others. So just you walking your path and loving yourself and being strong in your own power, that energy just exudes off of you and it clings on to them. And so they carry a little bit of your energy with them. So you're feeding that energy into them without you ever having to say a thing, just by walking the path, just by loving yourself, just by doing the work. So, and when this things, you know, start to settle down and we do go out, it is going to be like the lights are going to come on in the world. It's going to go into the darkness, like the black sun, where everything's going to go into darkness, where people, because so many people think like it's literally the end of the world. They don't understand. No, it's the end of a reality. It's the end of an age. It's the end of an era. But it's the beginning of something new and beautiful. And you know, a bad ending brings a beautiful beginning. And that's what we're going through. And so, you know, just like I said, just keep letting go of all that was and be prepared for all that is to come. And, you know, but just know that even in this next part, when it's going to feel like you're flying high, it is to see, what do you do with that energy? What do you do with that power? Who are you at your core? Remember, that's always what you're trying to figure out. Who am I at my core? So anyways, I'll talk to you later, but be ready, because I think the blessings are coming in for all of you guys, seriously. So be prepared, get excited, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.